This is Tiger Cats postgame on the Ticats Audio Network.
I don't know if I need this kind of drama in my life. Hamilton Tiger Cats win number 2 of the season. They pull off and hold on for a 24-17 victory over the Montreal Alouettes, who were a very game football team in the fourth quarter. Bubba O'Neil, Andy Fantuz with you. And what we're going to do here, we're going to look at our Tiger Cats post-game show. Just to give you the menu, we're going to review Andy's Car Star Keys to Victory, 3 of them. As always, we will have exclusive access to the coaching room, so we will talk to Coach Joe. Hopefully, he's in a happy one. He should be in this one. A player, possibly Dylan Wynn, our performer of the game as presented by Hercules Tire, right on our strength. We'll present that, and then we'll have our roundtable. Luke Tasker and Courtney Stephen will join us here in the booth. Okay, Andy. I mean, we talked about a convincing victory. I don't know if convincing is a word, but a win is a win.
A win is a win, but gee, making us sweat over here. 24-6 late in the game and coming down to the wire with a chance to tie the game at the end for Montreal. Boy, don't like to make it easy, but this is a nice character win to have that comeback creeping up on you, but find a way to get the job done and find a way to get the win with the big interception to seal the game. So you got to be proud of this team throughout the whole game. I mean, there were some amazing efforts in that fourth quarter by Montreal players to really keep those drives alive. I mean, it was highlight show out there.
Let's review your Car Star 3 keys to victory.
Well, number 1 was defend the quick release, and I'm going to give that a thumbs up. I mean, There were times where Trevor Harris was just dropping back and getting it to his players quick, but you by the stat of having 5 sacks, and those were covered sacks. I mean, he was going through his second, third, fourth reads. So what he thought was there initially when the snap happened was not there. So they did a good job disguising of covering those voids and making him hold on to the ball, and he ended up having to make some plays with his feet to keep drives going late in the game. So the Ticats did a great job of really snuffing that out and not making it easy for Trevor Harris and the Montreal offense.
That's a great point that Harris ran 4 times, and we know, I mean, we've seen these mobile quarterbacks that the Tiger Cats have faced over the last couple of weeks. Trevor Harris generally does not want to run, but he was forced to run because of that defensive line that was just firing on all cylinders. Number 2.
Number 2 was the Kahari effect, and it's it's kind of hard to quantify what the Kahari effect is. Just sitting here watching the game live, but you're looking at it and you're thinking they had a pretty good handle on what Montreal was doing, at least for 3 quarters of the game there. Other than a few outstanding efforts on single play, individual efforts on plays, I think the team had a great idea of what Montreal was doing. So I gotta lean towards giving them a thumbs up, even though it's hard to really know without being in that locker room and on that sideline.
I'm not going to lie. I think I was walking around here before the game thinking that the Tiger Cats were going to blow out the Alouettes. And I'm going to be honest, at 24-7, I was feeling real good. My chest was out. And then things got crazy in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, I thought they did a great job of handling the situation for 3 quarters. But it seemed like the Alouettes did go to a different playbook. And really, I think you said it there pretty much that they came up there and made some outstanding catches, their receiving core.
It was incredible. They were just game of inches. That 23-yard catch to Eugene Lewis, it couldn't have been any closer. And in between 2 guys, just making an outstanding fingertip catch right at the yard mark. I mean,
with great coverage.
2 guys on him. You can't make this stuff up. But you just gotta hand it to the Cats, though. I mean, you could feel it. In the Calgary game, in the Edmonton game, you could kind of feel that lead slipping away, and it was similar tonight. Yet they dug in. They got a lot of pressure on that last drive. Forcing Trevor to run and make some plays, and then coming up with the big INT to seal it. Just a nice character win, and the team should feel good about it. We talked about what's this opportunity? Find out who you are, and I think this is a great step in the right direction for this 6-game stretch.
Key number 3. Interesting here.
Number 3 was win the turnover battle, and they won the turnover battle tonight. They won, was it 3-1 with that last one, right?
Yeah, 2-1.
2-1.
2-1.
2-1, excuse me.
And really, the Dunbar fumble, I mean, he got nailed from
you can't
out of space.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's no way he could have known. That was not one of those irresponsible fumbles or interceptions that we have talked about earlier in the season. There's no way he could have seen what was coming there. So, I mean, yeah, it technically is a turnover, but
it was a clean game. But most importantly, that was one of those almost unavoidable fumbles. Like you said, just getting blasted from you know, it's like getting in a car accident or something. You just getting sideswiped. You can't do anything about it. So a clean game. Dane and Matthew Schultz took care of the football as far as throwing the ball, and you could see that there was an extra emphasis on wrapping it up, that iron cross when in contact, and making sure there wasn't any loose pigskin to kind of punch at during those fighting for those extra yards.
Yeah, we talked about offensive creativity, so I'll start with the quarterbacks here. Dane Evans goes 13 out of 18, 206, 1 touchdown pass, no mistakes. Schultz, 7 of 10 for 44 yards, and he also runs 4 times for 42 yards with that 30-yard explosion. There was a lot of back and forths in terms of the quarterbacks, and I thought Schultz had more playing time than I expected.
He did, yeah. Especially in that first half when they both had the same amount of pass attempts, 5 for 7 for Schultz and 4 for 7 for Dane Evans at one point in time. Dane Evans had a great game, and there's no reason to think that he would get pulled. But Matthew Schultz just brings a little something different to this offense, and it's certainly tough to defend. I mean, it's a totally like flip the switch type of different offense. And his athleticism, I've said this before, he just continues to impress. His vision all across the field and his speed and his elusiveness just comes out of nowhere. So it's so fun to watch, and it's kind of a nice dynamic to have going with the 1-2 punch.
Well, I think it would be irresponsible of me not to ask this question. Dane Evans is listed as the starting quarterback. I mean, when you're a starter, you expect to start. You expect to play the majority of the snaps in the game. I got to throw that to you. I mean, hey, I know Dane has proven it time and time again. He's all about the win. But do you feel like maybe your position's being encroached upon?
Yeah, I certainly think it's natural to feel that as an athlete. And but with the way the season's been going and the amount of turnovers and especially his fumbles, you got to expect that there's got to be some kind of fire lit to make sure that you're not just feeling like you can do whatever you want and your job's secure. So regardless of how serious it is that he will lose the starting job, I think it's okay to have a little shakeup. Some of the best players in the world get benched here and there, and that really sparks them and motivates them to really dive into their game and their fundamentals and really get back to just loving football again and doing it for their. I'm going somewhere that I don't even mean to go with Dane, because I know he's not feeling too comfortable. He's not high on his horse or anything like that. But it's just good to have that competition back into the game, so that you're just preparing and executing at an elite level at a constant basis.
Let's go round table style. Luke Tasker and Courtney Stephen joins us here as we go 4-man, 4 wide on this topic. And Luke, I got to ask you this question because I know this is going to be a topic of discussion. I mean, all the way up until the Toronto game. Who's the starting quarterback of this team?
Yeah, I think it clearly is Dane Evans still. And you look at the interceptions per game, and he had a pair of interceptions in the first 4 games. And then since then, in the next 3, he's gone 0-1-0 interceptions. And, of course, he's getting a few less opportunities because Matt Schultz is taking some reps. But I think so. I think my answer stays with Dane because he's not playing bad. He played good tonight. I don't think you can say at anywhere his mistakes were very limited and not overly damaging to the offensive efforts. I think he played very good tonight. the flip side of this is, and to the reason why they're doing some of this changing up is, I think it's as simple as it's also working at times. Like Matt Schultz is going in there and doing some impressive things and making some plays. I think he runs the ball very well. I think he gets a few extra yards than what you're expecting from him. And then, of course, he had an explosive run. The longest run of the season, actually, was Matt Schultz in the first half here. And so I think part of it is just it's working. Dane he's obviously not the type of guy who gets frustrated or sort of shuts down in a situation like this. And he's honestly been playing better since Schultz has been on the field at times.
You know what I liked about Dane today was that he seemed to be stepping into all his throws. What I found last week on some of those passes, he was sort of throwing off his back foot, and they came up a little bit short, especially on those fade balls to the slot backs. And today he was stepping into everything. And even when he was scrambling out of the pocket, he was still had his eyes downfield, and he would turn his shoulders, square them up, and step into it and throw some strikes. He had a number of second down conversions on those type of plays, which shows like a level of confidence and demeanor that you need as your guy, and a guy that's going to take you to the promised land.
One of the things we discussed in the pregame show is that this team needs to find an identity, and I think this game, right, to me, at least for 3 quarters, it was defined in the sense that this defense is leading this team. And I think Carriel Brooks, we'll talk to you, Courtney, about this here. Guy doesn't play for 6-7 weeks, gets injured during training camp, 5 tackles, 3 pass breakups. There could have been more. He was outstanding.
Carriel Brooks is a pro. And what do you ask of a professional is to always be prepared. He's a guy that I haven't been in the locker room, I haven't been in the meeting room, but I can guarantee by knowing his persona and what he brings to the locker room is he was one of those guys that was still getting prepared to play even when he was rehabbing an injury. And that's the kind of performance that he had today, was one of a consummate pro who, when the lights come on, he just has to be himself. And you know what? It's also a credit to that outstanding pass rush they had today with 5 sacks. That's the kind of D-line that makes it easier to be a DB in pro football. When the quarterback's under duress, it makes it a little bit easier for you to get, maybe there is a ball that you could put your hand on when a quarterback's not throwing with confidence. So defense all around, hats off. They did a great job.
They had 5 sacks tonight, and Trevor Harris did an incredible job of escaping a few more of them. So you got to hand it to him. He had a very impressive second half. And the Ticats came into this game last in the league in sacks, and they 5 in one game tonight. I mean, they've really turned the page on that and gotten back to what was a dominating presence of their defense in the 2021 season.
And it wasn't even the 5 sacks. I mean, there was several pressures. Let's be honest with that. All right, so we talked offense, defense. Got to swing it to special teams here, and there were some failures here. Worthy with a 40-yard punt return. Philpott goes 58 yards in what could have been a game-changing, maybe even a tie score had he not been upset by the punter, Don Miguela, with 2 huge tackles today. And then there was a fake punt as well, too, that they converted, Andy. That's something they got to clean up.
Yeah, you don't want to get beat. Craig Butler and his special teams unit is going to take this one to heart, because they just outright got beat in all phases of the special teams. And that is unlike this team so far this season, and unlike the team that they want to be. Just a couple minor contain issues. You always talk about getting the depth of the kick returner as the contain man. So meaning you're going to run downfield, get as deep as the returner is, and be 5 yards wide from him. Make sure that he can't get around you. Well, Worthy took a couple steps forward and then a couple jump cuts. You think of like a basketball move or like an old Reggie Bush play or something, and they were huge jump cuts, and he broke contain, and it's tough to catch with this big field. So, Montreal kept them in the game with their special teams, and that's something that needs to be cleaned up.
Luke, that is a bit of a surprise to me that 2 teams on back-to-back weeks have been able to pull off fake punts. Yeah,
that is interesting, and it was at just the right time. If you told somebody to watch the game and tell me when the perfect time for a fake punt is, like, you would have guessed right then. Took me by surprise, but in hindsight, it's 2020, and it's like, wow, that was actually right when they needed it. They made it happen, very well executed. The Ticats came into this the best punt coverage unit in the league. and it just didn't go well tonight. I think you can't fail to mention, though, they're missing some key players, and a few more went down tonight as far as their special teams score. Nick Cross has been out, and Ternowski is now out, who's made some great plays. Curtis Newton was now missing by the end of that game, and so that hurts too. I mean, I remember those games where your Mike Daly's and your Courtney Stevens are all of a sudden gone, and it feels a little different out there without the guys who are anchoring some of these units, and you got to count that as well. But you're right, Andy. I can visualize our special teams meetings with Jeff Reinbold after a game where it got away from us like that, and it's better to do it at a win. But Craig Butler is maybe this is going to be the hardest post game and sort of film breakdown for him, even though it was the second win they got.
Andy, let's let the secret out here. Our performer of the game, as presented by Hercules Tire, right on our strength. He is.
We ended up going with Dylan Wynn. He had 5 tackles and a huge sack, and part of a defensive line that got 5 sacks and a number of further pressures on top of that. So I had to go with somebody on that D line, and Dylan Wynn stood out the most to me of really wreaking havoc. Mika Johnson was a maniac. Julian Hauser, as always. These guys really put together the first complete game, or the best complete game, or the most complete game that we've seen so far this season. And
one of Wynn's tackles was one that ended up in a turnover on downs as well, too, on that third down gamble late in the contest. You bring up Mika Johnson, and the old man was coming tonight.
Hey, you know what? He's been here for a while, and he's made a name for himself across the league from being disruptive. I think we saw that Micah tonight, and you know what? He's probably himself feeling a little bit more confident going back into the locker room and then rolling that into the next week of prep. Like, you know what? I am who I thought I was. So it's great to see, but it all starts with Dylan Wynn, right? He gets him started. He also appropriately finishes the deal with that third down tackle. So it was great to see his effort, and let's hear what he has to say.
Well, it's our performer of the game, as presented by Hercules Tire, right on our strength. And, of course, let's go down to the locker room. We have exclusive access to our guy that we were just talking about. This post-game interview is presented by Access Storage. Dylan Wynn, 5 tackles, turnover on downs. You brought the sack. You got to be a happy man, and more importantly, you get the win. That's a good one tonight there, Dylan.
Man, you guys are too kind. You made that intro sound real nice. I appreciate you. Yeah, good win, man, by the whole team.
Dylan, how fun is it to play when everybody on the line and just all around you is eating like that, and you're just constantly in the backfield getting pressure and taking turns, finishing the job?
Man, we're a really close-knit group on our defense, and there's nothing better than just everybody eating, everybody having a good time, and everybody balling out. It was, it's nice. It's nice when the work starts paying off.
Hey, Dylan, this is Courtney here. I know you.
What's up, bro?
What's up, man? I know you guys have been putting in a lot of work, and you've trusted the process up to this point. But to see the floodgates open, what does that do for you going into the next week of preparation?
Man, it doesn't change nothing, to be honest. We've been just chopping wood until our hands get bloody. It's finally nice to grow some calluses and start getting paid when those timbers start falling. You know what I mean?
That's a nicely strung out analogy, Dylan. Hey, you guys, I know that your guys' rush up front helps your defensive secondary in the back. Does it go the other way? Carriel Brooks stands out for having a really great first game back. How much better does it make your guys' job up front when you've got guys breaking everything up and behind?
Look, there's no pass rush without DBs, and there's no DB coverage without pass rush. We're married together. We all hang out. We all ball. And like I said, when the whole defense is eating, man, it's a good time.
Dylan, let me ask you a question there. When things, Montreal was kind of coming on there late in the fourth quarter there, what was the message with the team there? I mean, when you're kind of feeling the heat a little bit, the fans here at Tim Hortons feeling a little nervous, how'd you guys buckle down?
I'm glad they're nervous because we weren't. All we do is chop wood, like I said. It's professional ball. They're going to get theirs and tip their hat to them, man. They got some real playmakers, and we didn't blink, and that's why we came out with the win. It's just refocus, re-roll, and just do your job. You just got to do the 1/12 and don't panic, and everything will turn out right.
Dylan, victory number 2. Enjoy it. You're coming out with the rivals in a couple of weeks down the road in the QEW. I'm sure you guys will be all jammed up for that. So enjoy the week of practice, and we look forward to chatting to you throughout the week.
Appreciate y'all having me. Have a good one.
He is our performer of the game, as presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength. And, of course, that exclusive post-game interview is presented to you by Access Storage. Guys, let's talk about it. The Argos, I mean, all three of you guys lined up against the double blue. What is it, Andy, where the level of play comes up? I don't know if it's 25%. I guess it depends on the situation. But there's something different when you're playing up and lining up against the Argonauts.
Well, I remember my first year here in Hamilton, 2012. The first time we were going to play the Argos was Labor Day. And we were at the old Ivor Wynn, and our meeting room was in like a portable next to the field, like probably where the south end zone is now. And so Scott Mitchell comes in, the CEO of the team comes in and just says, like, no matter what happens, we have got to win Labor Day. We have to beat the Argos. It's the only thing that matters. Like, he gave this awesome speech. I'm not doing it justice, but it just set that tone. And I think a lot of that energy also comes from the fans, from just the energy in the community as well. But the games are always a little extra chippy. They're always close and can go in either way. It's a lot of fun playing the Argos. We've had some epic battles over the years, haven't we?
No, I think back to just great games, especially the Labor Day Classics. But one thing I never did was play them 4 times in 5 weeks. So I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows how that's going to progress. And this coming. And nice that the Ticats get a long week. By the way, it'll be for next Saturday, but that'll be the start of a really incredible stretch of Toronto games mixed with one more Montreal.
Courtney, the neat thing about this matchup against Toronto is the fact that as poor as maybe the first third of the season was and your head scratching with the Tiger Cats, all of a sudden you could be looking at first place.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about the CFL. And when you play in the East Division, you're really competing against 3 other teams. And so, Toronto, they're no slouches, right? Through 5 games, they swept their series with Saskatchewan. They've done some things. But you know what? You get the same team 4 times. That's exactly what you want in terms of controlling your own destiny. So I think you game plan strategically. Maybe in the first game, you don't actually call all your plays, and you save a couple for that second or that third or that rare fourth. What do you call that? That's a quadruple header? So
I'm a sportscaster, man.
I'm not a mathematician.
No.
But, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see the strategy that goes into this situation because, this could have a very, very heavy impact on playoff implications, who finishes first, who finishes second, who makes it into the playoffs, who doesn't, if there's a crossover, if there's not. It'll be interesting to see it unfold.
Right back to you. There's someone wearing a number 16 that you've never played against. I mean, I know there was the game in Guelph in the preseason game, and even then, I think he caught like a 26-yard little something over the middle, and then he turned around and looked at the sideline, that Ticat sideline. How inspiring would that be to face off against Brandon Banks for the first time as an opposition player?
You know what? Like, he's one of the great players of the recent generation. So first and foremost, I'm looking at it from that perspective of you got to put him on the game plan. This is Speedy B, and he hasn't been having the season that he would want up to this point, but that has no impact on the game that you're about to play. And I think everybody needs to make sure they realize that at any given point in time, Brandon Banks can be faster than your fastest player. So if he gets out the hot tub and he's feeling it that day, then you don't know if you're going to get that Brandon Banks that we've seen for the beginning of 2022, or if you're going to get the Brandon Banks that the Black and Gold fans have known and loved for many years. So it'll be interesting to see, and you know what? I'm looking forward to it.
Both of his fellow receivers right now are both nodding heads here, and Andy and Luke. Thoughts here, Andy?
Well, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder as well, right? Ticats are fans here are no stranger to having ex-Ticats kind of show up at the worst times for an opposition team. So, but the Ticat team will as well, and they'll be eager to shut him down just as eager as he is to make a few plays. Can't wait for the matchup. I hope. Excuse me. I hope like after 4 games, the Labor Day game still has as much juice as it normally does, because teams are going to be sick of each other. But it's still like Courtney said, it really tells the season, and that's exactly where you want to be, where you control your own destiny. So you get 3 or 4 of these plus the Montreal game. I mean, we talked about what do we need to do? Is 3-3 in this stretch going to get it done? Probably not. Is 4-2? Maybe 5-1, even better. 6-0. Then you're really steering the ship.
Well, it's interesting that you bring it up there. And look, you talk about this is Argonauts 4 times in 5 weeks. I don't know what the schedule maker was thinking, but regardless, I mean, by the time you've seen a team for the 4th time, there can be no secrets, first of all, but you got to get real fed up with the guy that's you're lining up against.
Yeah, you're going to remember everything from the previous weeks. I mean, like that energy and sort of rivalry between the players is going to build as well. I mean, there's no doubt you're going to get some parts, some boiling over that happens in some parts of the field. I think in the kicking game will be interesting to watch. Our team's going to start trying to cheat here and there, a little bit, a few inches, a few yards on either side, and our team's going to try to exploit and take advantage of that. And we just saw the second fake punt in a row tonight, and I wonder if we'll see some more of that. To quickly go back to Speedy B, so many times I saw him when we were with him in the locker room make plays with incredible timing. He really turned it on when the time came and when the team needed the big play, the big return, the big catch. And I think his the way that he is, the competitor and athlete that he is, I think some little sparks are going to fly in his tiny little body when he comes back to Tim Hortons Field, and he's going to be ready to go. I do think we'll see some really highlight Speedy B.
Should the fans boo him? I don't even know what to expect. I mean, what he did his accomplishments with this team. I mean, they're unmatched.
I'm really going to learn something new about Tim Hortons Field if he gets booed when he comes on here.
I hope not.
I don't think so. I mean, his name should be on the wall someday. I mean, he's a Hamilton legend. But like I said, if the fans boo Speedy B, that really is.
They booed O'Shea, and they booed Morelli too, who came from here.
Yeah, right? Who knows? Who knows what's working?
It's cutthroat around here, especially when you're 2-4, and trying to win the East. So nothing would surprise me.
So, hold on a second. We've just been informed by Peter, our producer here. Point number 2 in your car start 3 points
was the Kahari effect, and at the time I kind of gave it a hesitant thumbs up, but we just found out that the Kahari Jones got the game ball from the Ticats, from Orlando Steinhauer. So now we're going to give that 2 thumbs way up. And obviously he made an impact, whether it was in the prep or in the in-game adjustments, one way or another. He obviously made a difference.
All right, guys, final thing here. Practice. What does practice look like this week? I'm sure there's probably a better mood at practice.
Well, absolutely. You're going to have a little bit more mojo, a little bit more energy heading into this week. But I think Coach O is saying, hey, you've seen what happens when you stay the course. Now, don't change the formula. Just keep, like Dylan Wynn said, keep chopping wood, stick to the grind, and good things are going to happen for us.
Luke, practice. What do you think? Everyone just going to be real cool, you think?
Well, I think this will actually you have a long week, first of all. And you're leading into this stretch of Toronto games. So this will probably be, I would think, a pretty hard week of practice. They're going to really work because after this, you're probably going to start tapering off of practices as you start to play Toronto again and again. And as those games progress, it's going to be more film intensive than it is field work intensive as you start to play the same team over and over. So they'll get their work in this week, and it's always easier and you're a little bit lighter on your feet putting that work in after a win.
Andy, how do you feel going into this?
Well, that's a great point. I think you guys just nailed it. You got to, Courtney said it earlier that you're sort of playing this chess game of what are you going to show, what plays are you going to call that are maybe trying to set up things for the next game or the game after that or the game after that. So it's every game is a battle, but the war or the long term is really to come out of that series 3-1 or 4-0, or worst case even. So you're gonna you're going to be playing that mind game of the coaches, and I can't get off air without kind of giving some love to Coach and the red flag in the last few games here. It's been timely. It's been accurate. I don't know if he's trusting the players to make that call or the booth up above, but his challenges have been on point, and they've been coming at key moments and really making a difference in the game. So shout out to Coach O and his challenges.
Hamilton Tiger Cats 24, Montreal Alouettes 17. Both teams 2-5, certainly well alive in the East where things are wild. Folks, thank you for listening. For Andy Fantuz, I'm Bubba O'Neil, of course, Courtney Stephen, and Luke Tasker alongside here in the roundtable. We will return to the Tiger Cats Audio Network a week Saturday. We will be in Toronto. It is the Argonauts and Tiger Cats, old rivals, meeting for the first time with everything on the line. We are on the air at 6 p.m. with the Tiger Cats pregame, as presented by Journey Rewards on the Tiger Cats Audio Network. Have a great week.